Having also qualified for the previous games in Tokyo, the Copper Queens of Zambia will get the Paris Olympic campaign underway when they face the USA on Friday. Now, Ashley Nakazwe is a Zambian journalist and the founder of MN Sports Agency and joins me now in studio to talk about the Copper Queens prospects and their preparations ahead of that Olympic opener. Ashley, thank you so much for making time for us here on the AM Report. And it is the big one now, the Olympics finally here for the Copper Queens. But before we get into their campaign, I think let's talk about you for a bit. Many would think, as somebody who supports sport, you must have played sport at some point, but that's not the case with you. You were drawn to sport by your passion because you couldn't play. Tell us a bit more about your story and why it led you to sports.
Well, interestingly enough, because my family, like every one of us, has allergies. So we all have sinus, asthma, and bronchitis. So none of us were allowed to play any sport. And I really wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to run, I wanted to swim, but that was not the case in my case. However, luckily for me, I started working for an agency, one of the biggest marketing agencies in Zambia. And I was privileged enough to work on some of very, very cool sports campaigns. Some of our brand activations had really, really cool campaigns, like the World Cup. We had so many interesting campaigns there that just set me in the right direction when it comes to sport. Yeah.
And what is it about that made you think, well, these campaigns are exciting. This is something that I want to be a part of. I want to be part of sports.
It's one thing to do experiential marketing from the inside,
yeah.
But then it's another thing when you see how fans get excited. I want to be part of the fans also. The excitement is it's more than just the activations, you know, how we make them feel. I also want to be part of the feeling, right? Yeah, that was it was a game changer for me, yeah.
And of course, you also tell sports stories. You're a journalist. You enjoy the part of informing others about what's happening in the sports world. So let's talk about Zambian football then and the lay of the land in terms of how things are looking. Very impressive form for the Copper Queens. They were at the FIFA World Cup 2023. They were at the previous Olympic Games in Tokyo in 2021 and now prepare for the Olympic Games now. What do you think has been the change that has spurred on these amazing performances that we've seen from the team?
I think the main thing has been the deliberate move by the FA, FAS itself, in ensuring that development continues from all tiers, from the under-17, under-20, under-23. FAS has had a very deliberate move in ensuring that every tier is getting as much support as possible. That has been a game changer for women in Zambia.
And if you're looking at the work that FAS has done to prepare the team for the Olympic Games, you now have that first assignment on the horizon facing the USA. How ready would you say the team is? You've had a chance to look through the preparations. You've been following everything closely on the ground. Take us through some of the preparations for the Copper Queens and how confident you are and perhaps how confident they should be feeling as they prepare for this game.
As a Zambian patriot, I'm very confident.
Yeah.
Like, for us just going to the Olympics the second time, it's a big achievement. I mean, we saw in the last Olympics, it wasn't such a good one for us. However, we had record-breaking news when Barbara scored 2 hat-tricks in the first time ever happening at the Olympics. So that itself was something. Meeting the USA, this will be the first time. So it's a bit tricky. USA is one of the most successful teams in the world. However, you see Barbara Banda, Rachel Kundananji are playing in the National Women's Soccer League. So at least they are already comfortable with the US kind of play. Yeah.
Now, you're talking about it as them perhaps being a bit more comfortable. The USA has seen this as somewhat of them getting an insight into the trump card. Barbara Banda was a surprise the last time around. She's been playing in the US now. Do you feel that's a bit of a disadvantage for the Copper Queens because she's played there, they know all of her tricks now. So too do they know Rachel very well because they've both been playing in the league.
I think for us it's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Prior to the Zambian girls playing in the National Women's Soccer League, we never used to watch it as much. So I think it has been a way also for the coach to get at least an insight of how the US team plays, not just from the international level, but also in the league itself. So we know the star players of the USA that will play against our team. Yeah.
Let's talk about the mood in the camp. And this is something perhaps people want to shy away from ahead of a big competition like the Olympic Games, but it's difficult to keep quiet on the matter of the sexual abuse allegations coming out of the camp of the Copper Queens. It has reared its head again with allegations being leveled against the head coach. How has that impacted the team? If you're looking at the preparations and the synergy within the team, do you feel that that has still been stirring things? And what has the progress been from FIFA and FAS in terms of now quashing this thing once and for all?
Okay, listen, Zambia is very, very deliberate about our socio-economical issues. We have so many early child marriages, sexual abuse. numerous of them that affect the girl child in Zambia. However, the Zambian law is very strict in that regard. They've been very, very clear on how this investigation has gone. Nothing concrete has come out of it. And until anything, none of the players has come forward. So it's still clear. Coach Bruce is still clear. I can't say much about it. However, there's nothing concrete. Yeah.
Well, I can understand the sensitivity of the topic, and I can get why it would be difficult to opine on it. But as somebody then who follows football and knows psychologically the state that players must be in to succeed at a tournament like this, do you feel that it should have been addressed a lot sooner to allow them to be able to go into this without the cloud hanging over the team? And is it going to impact the dynamics with the coach and some of the players perhaps feeling that the issues might not have been addressed?
This has been going on for 2 years already.
Yeah.
So the team is positive. There's positive energy going in camp right now. They just played friendly recently. There's nothing that's going to affect the Copper Queens aside from their performance right now. This issue has been handled as it should have been by the Zambian law. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the group then. You're saying performances on the field is what's going to get them over the line. Let's talk about the group. Some big names there in the likes of Germany, the USA as well. What do you think the Copper Queens are going to have to get right if they are to progress and perhaps come home with a medal?
Interesting enough, before the Women's World Cup in 2023, Zambia played Germany and we won against them 3-2. So at least that's not going to be a first time playing against them. Against Australia, Australia is looking obviously to get back. In 2021 at the Olympics, they were semi-finalists. Last year at the Women's World Cup, they were semi-finalists again. So you can only imagine the kind of preparation they've been having, and having lost their captain, Sam Kerr. That is the only fixture that I personally am worried about, the Australian one. However, USA and Germany, I think we're very ready.
Well, you sound like a very confident Copper Queens supporter.
Yeah.
What do you think this does, though, for the outlook on African football in general? Because the focus previously has been on, male football and them being serious contenders in big competitions like World Cups and Olympic Games. We're now seeing the conversation changing to female, led teams. You're looking at Nigeria, you're looking at Banyana, and you're also looking at the Copper Queens and the performances they've been able to churn out consistently. Are we seeing a turn of the tide with women's football?
Look, let's look at just where we are today. We've got the CAF Women's Champions League's draw happening at 10 this morning, right? And then next month we have the COSAFA Women's Champions League qualifiers in Malawi. Then in the same month we have the Under-20 World Cup. In October, we have the Under-17 World Cup. It's just an amazing year for women's football.
Yeah.
So for us in Africa, for example, Nigeria, a very, very strong contender. They are playing at the Olympics. The Under-20 team is at the World Cup. The Under-17 is at the World Cup. So it's just interesting occurrences that are happening, and also deliberate moves by CAF. For us in the COSAFA region, for the first time, the UWC team is going to represent South Africa. So it's just amazing stuff happening. A lot of good moves, but also a caution because the women's AFCON has been pushed to next year. What has CAF got to do with the preparations between now and next year? Our country is going to be having international friendlies from now until then. So such stuff also, but however, positive moves in terms of women here on the African continent.
And I think CAF have been quite intentional about how they want to make women's football a bit more prominent. How does corporate buy-in? Because I think the big conversation has always been about not performances per se, but financial backing. What do you think needs to happen to change that in terms of the conversation in women's football and investment and money being put behind the ladies?
I think for me, the corporate has no excuse at the moment. There's literally no excuse. All of our CAF countries are doing so much better from the women's side than the men's side. Zambia itself, the Copper Queens are doing so much better than the Chipolo Polo boys, and we keep teasing them every now and again. Can they just draw inspiration from that? Same as here, the Banyana team is doing very well. I mean, recently we did see signing to Turkey from Mamelodi Sundowns. Nice things are happening. Why? What is the corporate's excuse? There's no excuse there's literally no excuse from the corporates.
Literally no excuse from the corporates. Of course, that's Ashley Nakazwe, who is a Zambian football journalist, just giving us a bit of an insight into the Copper Queens preparations. Before I let you go, Ashley, as we wrap this up, we do have news that has come in with coaches from the Southern African region moving to North Africa. Your thoughts quickly on that?
I'm always excited. North African football is really fast. It's so fast. I'm really happy for Coach Rulani Mokoena. I'm a big fan of him, so I'm really, really happy for his move. If more coaches can spread around, go get some experience in such spaces like North Africa where football is really, really fast, very, 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 very great move.
Oh, Ashley, we could have this conversation going on. Of course, Wednesdays are for women in sport as we wrap things up with Ashley Nakazwe.